If you feel a sense of regret for not getting a unit at Pinnacle at Duxton, well, here's your second chance. Singapore will soon see its tallest HDB project yet. Located on the site of the former Outram Park complex, the new BTO development at Pearls Hill will be more than 60 stories tall. This will surpass the current tallest HDB project, which is Pinnacle at Duxton on Cantonment Road, which is 50 stories tall. Even though there's no clarity when the BTO will be officially launched, but the government basically indicates that it will be launched in several years to come. The BTO itself will be a mega project comprising approximately 1,700 flats with mix of 2-room flexi, 3-room, and 4-room flats, as well as over 140 public rental flats. I think the part that I'm not sure of is that whether they will launch the whole 1,700 flats all together, or will it be split into like 2 different BTO launch time or something. I don't know for sure. We also have no clue about what facilities will be on site at the moment, but having said that, because the location is very near to Outram Park, a lot of analysts predicted that this project will be tagged as a prime project, which I absolutely agree. In terms of potential price, an analyst from Era Singapore actually gave this price prediction. So it is predicted that for 2-room flexi, the price will range from $218,000 to $369,000. For 3-room flat, it would be around $420,000 to $562,000. And for a 4-room flat, it is estimated the price will be around $578,000 to $788,000. However, the catch is, if this is indeed the price, the subsidy clawback might be on a higher side. Like some even predicted the clawback rate will be 20% or even more, which will be the highest so far that we've seen in the BTO launch. So why is this project so special? Well, this is the first time that we have seen a new HDB launch in the Pearls Hill or Chinatown area in more than 40 years. There were more HDB housing here around the late 60s to early 70s when the government redeveloped the area after demolishing the old Outram prison. There was a landmark HDB project back then, which was Outram Park Complex, but it underwent the selective en bloc redevelopment scheme or SERS back in 1998, and the flats were demolished in 2003, and the site has been vacant since. So indeed, it is very exciting to see a BTO will be launched in the area. Because the location is so appealing and then it will be the tallest HDB as well, there's a sense of deja vu comparing between this project and the Pinnacle at Duxton. Why? Because the Pinnacle at Duxton is often used as an example of an ideal HDB. When Pinnacle at Duxton was launched back in 2004, 4-room flats were priced about $289,000 plus to $380,000, while a 5-room flat ranged between $345,000 plus to $439,000 plus. At the time, those prices held the record for the highest average price for new HDB flats. However, when the development completed its MOP and hit the resale market, the combination of its location, views, and very unique design began to set a high resale price benchmark in the HDB resale market. Since then, as you know, this development is very famous for multiple $1,000,000 HDB transactions. I think the highest so far is like 1.4 plus for a 4-room flat. And basically, people who own a flat here expect at least $1 million for their flat, given how desirable a unit in this project. However, of course, this Pearls Hill BTO is launched at a very different time. Nowadays, we have the Prime and Plus classification, and considering that this project is most likely will be classified as a prime project, it will come with the 10-year MOP. There's also an income ceiling for the future resale buyer, and then you cannot rent out the whole flat after MOP, etc. So there are going to be a lot of restrictions. This is intended basically to curb down the lottery effect, but I'm guessing because of the location, which is next to Outram Park MRT station, and its proximity to the city center, makes this Pearls Hills BTO will still be very desirable among a lot of BTO applicants. So even though this Pearls Hills BTO will be very desirable, but because of the income ceiling for future resale buyer, it is effectively putting like a soft cap on the maximum potential resale price. Because plus and prime categories are not retroactively applied, the Pinnacle at Duxton will not impose any limitations. It's willing seller, willing buyer. But then for Pearl Hills BTO, because of the income ceiling, most likely the price will be much more moderated. By the way, if you are wondering how come HDB doesn't apply the plus and prime classification retroactively, check out my other video because I'm discussing that in a whole different video exclusively for members only. Now let's talk about the location. Now let's discuss the location. So this is the map that HDB gave. If we check out Google Map, it seems that this is the land plot that they are referring to. As you can see, it is quite big and it is indeed very near to Outram Park MRT station, so definitely within walking distance. Besides Outram Park MRT station, actually there are several other MRT stations nearby, such as Maxwell MRT station, and then Chinatown MRT station is also around the corner. In terms of amenities, as you can see, there are plenty of shops nearby. And then in terms of health facilities, Singapore General Hospital is quite nearby as well. Tiong Bahru Market is over here. And then you also have the Maxwell Food Center over here. But then again, of course, along the area, there are so many amenities, so many eateries and shops. It's just countless at this point in time. Now, what about school options? There are some school options nearby. So, for example, Cantonment Primary School is here. And then you also see Outram Secondary School here. So, although there aren't that many school options, but there are some options if you still have young children. Now, obviously, if you work in the CBD area, it is going to be very convenient for you to commute to Raffles Place MRT station or City Hall MRT station. Is just very nearby. In terms of potential view, it seems that you have a good chance to have great city view from the location, especially because remember the press release said that this BTO will be about 60 stories high, and then as you can see, this part is like a park, Pearls Hill Reservoir, and also Pearls Hill City Park, and then this area would be low-rise buildings. So indeed, I think you would be able to get a good city view. But regardless of whether you have unblocked view or not, just the fact that this BTO has such a great location, if you manage to get a flat here, it will be very desirable if let's say you want to sell your flat in the long run, or if let's say you want to rent out some rooms. Remember, because this is classified as prime, you are not allowed to rent out the whole flat even after MOP. Now let's talk about the pros and cons of this project, starting with the pros first. So what do I like about this project? Clearly, it is within walking distance to MRT station, so that's great. I also like the fact that this is a mega project with more than 1700 units, meaning that there will be a lot of benchmark if you want to sell your place later on or you just want to rent out rooms. It's always great that you have a lot of other people selling and renting out, so that could be your benchmark. Another thing that I like about this place is that it has endless amount of amenities nearby, from shops, restaurants, cafes, malls, etc. You name it, right? This is basically an excellent location if you like the city life. And then clearly this project also have a very strong resale value. If we look at what happened at Pinnacle at Duxton, it becomes very popular because people who are typically aiming for a condo but want to get something that is more affordable, they typically would flock to young BTO that is in the city area. So this project has a good chance to have a very strong resale value. Even if let's say there is an income ceiling being implemented, but then again there are some pockets of society that on paper has low income level, but then actually they have a lot of cash. So for example, like retirees or people who downgrade from condo or landed apartment, etc. So there are people with that characteristic. And then if you want to rent out rooms, I'm sure that this location is going to be very desirable for renters as well, because it is within close proximity to the CBD area. So very strong rental value as well. Now, on the other hand, what don't I like about this project? I think if you are a family with young children or planning to have kids, you do have to to acknowledge that there is a limited school options if you live here. Of course, nowadays there are school bus, so it's not a deal breaker, but indeed the option will be very limited. For example, compared to if let's say you live in Sengkang or Punggol, so it's very different. If you live here, the school options is very limited. And then, of course, being a prime flat comes with a lot of restrictions, such as the 10-year MOP, cannot rent out the whole flat after MOP, the income ceiling for future resale buyers, you cannot sell to PR couples, so one of them has to be Singaporean, etc. So there are a lot of restrictions. I also predict that this project will come with a very high subsidy clawback. Some analysts even say that this project could be slapped by like 20+% subsidy clawback. We'll see how it goes. But I think it is possible, especially if the project will only be launched several years from now, because we see overall the trend of subsidy clawback tends to rise from year to year. So that is indeed a possibility. Another thing that you might want to watch out about this project is the high competition. I am assuming there are plenty of people who wants to apply to this town. So the application rate might be on the higher side, which means it's going to be very competitive to get a flat here. Another thing that you need to consider is whether the city life is for you and your family, because honestly, it's not for everyone. Like, for example, for me personally, I don't really like the city center, because for me, it's too noisy. I would rather live somewhere that is more peaceful. So not everybody actually enjoys living in the city center. So you have to reflect whether you and your family would be okay to actually live here. It's not only about being close to Outram Park MRT station, but whether it's really suitable for your lifestyle. Because if you live here, there will be a lot of noise, right? Because it's in the city center, it will be quite hectic. And then on the weekends, maybe you will see more people around the area. There will be a lot of tourists as well. So that is something to really consider. Another watch out is that this project is actually literally next to the Central Expressway. So that is something to take note of, especially if, let's say, you manage to get a queue number, but let's say the number is not very good. There is a chance that you might get a block that is facing the expressway, which of course will mean noise, dust, and some reduction in terms of resale value. So in summary, I think the combination between the location and how this project is designed to be the tallest BTO in Singapore, these are basically ingredients that will set this project to be very successful and iconic. In a way, it feels like it's kind of a shame that this project is only launched after the Plus and Prime classification have already taken effect, because otherwise, this project also has that magic lottery effect, just like Pinnacle at Duxton, where basically owners of a high floor unit can be millionaires after MOP. If you are the type that enjoys the city life, this BTO is definitely worth applying. But on the other hand, if you are not keen to live in the Chinatown area, actually, you will have a good chance in securing units at projects that will be launched at the same time with this Pearls Hills BTO. Why? Because I predicted that this project will be so popular that most applicants will flock and apply to this town, and other projects in the same launch will probably have a slightly lower application rate than normal. That's actually a good news because it will reduce the number of your competitors effectively. But what do you think? Do you like this project? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you want to know what are the possible reasons why HDB doesn't want to implement the Plus and Prime classification retroactively for existing projects such as Pinnacle at Duxton, check out my other video because I am discussing it on a separate video exclusive for members only. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye! To support my work, you can give a one-time tip by pressing the thanks button, pick the amount that you want, and click buy and send. Or you can also press the join button for exclusive contents and monthly membership. Your support means a lot to keep us independent. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye!